One farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold.
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, I've used that line before. Welcome back to the Junius Maltby Channel. Thanks for joining me. The extemporaneous ramblings of a madman broadcasting live and unscripted because you guys just, well, you make me feel so welcome. My internet friends, my little feds, because you're all feds, I know that. You're all sent to watch me because you're all the feds. I'm not the fed, you're the feds. I appreciate it. You guys made me feel really good. I really appreciate it the other day. Just the warm feeling I got that you guys, just the reminder that this is an important place to gather. And if anything, it's that's what it is, a gathering of friends, fellow stackers. Here we are together. And if that's something that this channel is, literally a true community. You guys really reminded me that this is a community of people. We're not just... You're not alone in this. I read your comments. I don't think you guys know that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you believe me. Maybe you don't. I do. I read them all. I go through quite often, and even when I'm not here making videos all of the time, shackled to this desk, confined to the domicile, I do. I'll read through what you guys say and your comments, and it's. I try to answer you when I can. Sometimes I don't always reply, but I do read what you have to say. I wish I could move that screen over here. It'd be so much easier. I gotta move this. Let me try to move this here. It's been a while since this desk was set up to my liking, so just bear with me as I move things around. There we go. That'll be better. That way I can actually see you guys. I had to move something. The mic. Again, thanks a lot, all of you, for tuning in. I got some stuff pulled up here today to talk about, but that opening line there from Doc from Back to the Future, Marty, where we're going, you don't need roads. And I've used that line on this channel, and in reference to the title of today's live, the video, Marty, where we're going, you don't need dollars, and it's true. I don't think a lot of times we think in dollars. A lot of people talk about their cash out price or what's your exit strategy, all those things. Like, I mean, come on now. Really? You really need to know that? I mean, you're going to sell a depreciating asset. You're selling, I got it flipped. Yes. Again, I'm waiting for Mrs. Maltby to bring me my tea. And I was trying to read your comments. I'm trying to do too many things at one time. Again, to sell an appreciating asset for a depreciating one, trading gold or silver for the rotting fiat trash paper, the Federal Reserve note, that feces and cocaine impregnated silky paper. That's true. Look it up. You guys think I throw that in there as a joke, but there actually is a measurable percentage of certain things found in that silky paper of fiat currency. And a lot of times fecal matter is present. So next time you're holding a 20 or a 100 or a 50 or a 1 or a 5 or a 10, just remember there's a little bit of poop on that paper. And also, I think like something 20, 30, 40% of all fiat has measurable trace amounts of cocaine because, of course, cash is used in drug deals and transactions all of the time. Cocaine, crack, meth. You name it, it's probably on it. Among other things, I'm sure if you swabbed currency, you'd find a lot of interesting cultures. You could culture it. I'd like to take my dollar bill to the lab and get a culture on it. What's the culture on this? Did you grow something? What did you grow? Was it growing something special? Of course, all kinds of things like strep, probably E. coli, staphylococcus. What else could we look for here? MRSA, C. diff. Who knows? The norovirus. Can we say the C word yet? Are we allowed? Are we permissed? Am I permissed to use that word? Or are we still under the ban from YouTube where we can't even discuss the great scamdemic and the poison they issued from it? I guess we can't. I don't want to risk it because I've used it before. I've talked about the vid, and that's the only time this channel was ever threatened. I got 2 strikes, you're out. A 3rd strike, they almost deleted the channel. I appealed it. I won that one. I had to go to YouTube re-education camp. You guys have seen that video. I think I did a live with you guys when YouTube sent me to the Google log. Mrs. Maltby made that term up. The Google log. Instead of a gulag, it's the Google log. I had to go to the Google log and be re-educated in the ways of YouTube. Do you remember that? It was all about health questions and misinformation, and it's crazy. They made me do that stuff. It blows my mind the timeline we are in. I had to go be re-educated at the YouTube Gulag Archipelago. Oh man, yes, I'm reading all what Meta Prometheus just wrote. Good to see all of you guys, my friends. There's a lot of you here. I can't even go back and read all the comments right now. I got James Richter's here, Actual Surfer, Good Friend, T-Fox, Malthidicus, Albriticus, Red Dawn, Soggy Pineapple, Kill Enemies. I just need to read off all the channel members. James Richter, Soggy Pineapple, Platinum Gnome, Red Dawn, T-Fox got you, A1 Savage, Pladler, 34, good to see you. Again, Actual Surfer, man, thanks for the super chat. Glad to have you back in action. I'm glad to be here. I am. Barber Strelick, good to see you. Again, Bill Spencer with the wrench. Am I getting everyone? Am I missing somebody? Dr. Shafty, good to see you. Frank Pliskin, did I say your name already? I don't know, man. It's been a long day. I was at work, working hard at work, hardly working. Red Dawn, EW Fisher 69. I'm trying to scroll through. See House RSC, good to see you, man. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Stackcelerate, he says. Good to see you, T-Fox. Paul S. was the first one in the chat today. Thanks, Paul. That's some dedication. He signed right up for it. And I'm missing one. Let me see there. A Jiffy Pistol, man. Thanks for the super chat. I see a fiat currency is as filthy as the criminals who print it. I know, it's fitting, right? Thanks for the super chat. That makes sense. They found cocaine in the White House. Why wouldn't it be on the currency? Whatever happened from that, by the way? Nothing. Remember, different laws for them than from you. The list is endless. I can't even begin to list all of the things that the elite pardon each other from and all the things they do. I mean, I don't need to get into the list, do I? I mean, we missed that. I wasn't doing videos. I was too busy. I was too morose, melancholy. I was hiding on top of a mountain. I was wandering in the wilderness. I couldn't do videos. For a while, guys, I was just too busy. But believe me, I was suffering right beside you, witnessing the lies, how nothing's changed. I mean, just all of the things that we're dealing with in this world. All of it. It's quite disgusting, but it's also laughable because in the end, I know we win. So in the end, I know that righteousness prevails and the sinners and the evildoers will be punished. And boy, are they going to face some things. Judgment. It's going to be quite interesting once you realize in the end, I know I've read the last chapter. I know how we all know how this plays out. I just don't know what it's like between now and then. That's the uncertainty. Between getting to the final chapter of this book that is the story on Earth here. Ray Finkel, thanks for the super chat, my good friend. He goes, the Junius Maltby Channel, the digital inns and alehouses of our forefathers. That's what it is. It's like the prancing pony in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I like it. We've got pints of tea, if Mrs. Maltby. I heard the teapot go off earlier, so it should be any moment now, if she's listening. But the tea will show up. I've been waiting for it. Ah, man, what a good woman. It's been a busy year, ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. Maltby, as you know, was going through some pretty good medical stuff. Still is. It's not over. Has not been finished. But we're just working through that with her neck and everything. But we're getting there. We're making do. Now, I wanted to share with you guys as we open up today and get stuff rolling.
We're not getting there.
We're not getting. Oh, no, you're not getting. You're not done yet. Yeah. No, you're not healed yet, of course.
The healthcare system here is just... I'm meant to just die and suffer.
No, this is just your years of Job. It's your...
Is this my
it's your Job.
year of Job?
It's your 5th year of Job. Yeah, you should write your own little book. This is Maltby's Book of Suffering.
If there's any channel members who work at Stanford Hospital, you just send me an email.
Yeah, Stanford. That's true. We need to go to Stanford for sure. That's the way to go. Thanks for the tea.
Can we acknowledge a couple super chats from the last live?
JC, yeah, he hit us the very end with a most generous and a most kind support. Just a kind gift and always been a very historically very supportive member of this channel. And I just would like to reach out and I don't know if he's tuned in this evening, but big thank you for your support of this channel always, and as well as some of the unsung heroes that have been rather dedicated for a long time. The Patreon supporters and members, you guys don't always get all of the appreciation you deserve, but there are some of you that are just bedrock anchors that have always been there and supported this channel in that way, just because it was something that was able to be set up back then. And I recently learned there are lives available to do in Patreon itself. They seem to be evolving that site over the years, and I'm quite happy to see that there's an option now. If anything ever happened, let's say, to YouTube, for whatever reason, that does exist, and I could always exit over there and do lives through Patreon and whatever it is, platform or video software that they use. So that's good to know. That's the insurance backup. Just so you know, if anything ever happens to the channel, please make note of that, pass it on to each other, that's where we'll meet. We'll meet over there. You can meet me over there at that point in time, whenever that might be, if that does happen. But yes, thank you, all of you. Those types of support, all of that. And again, your motivation, just being there for this channel over the years, it's always been quite a special thing. Some things I wanted to bring up tonight, because there are some of you that I do correspond with, colleagues, friends, and I wanted to share with you a couple of different things. I kind of was reminiscing the other day, again, looking back on the channel, some of the earliest videos, what inspired me to make this channel, or why did it even happen? And I've shared that over the last, 10 or 15 years. I've shared this story several times with all of you, how it came to be. And that's not the point of today's video. The point was I was kind of waxing on it, just thinking back and one of the biggest inspirations, he passed in 2020, was Professor Ancat. When I say inspiration, I mean someone who I read, admired, looked up to, might not have even understood everything he wrote at all. I gathered information from many different sources, a lot of the writers on Lou Rockwell. Obviously, I paid attention to Ron Paul and Peter Schiff. That's one of the, during the early politics, early 2008. Obviously, I was into gold and silver before that time, but they kind of really lit the fire under me a little bit more back then. Even prior to that election cycle, I was already becoming extremely concerned and worried about the debt. I remember emailing some friends and family when we were discussing way back in like 2002 or 3 about the debt. And I remember around in 2000, and I've shared all these things with you guys before. It's not important in the history, but this has always been something that bothered me. It's always been just this, like an abscess or sore, or some foreign object, some splinter of wood dug deep in my side that I just wanted to get out. It's this debt. the whole story of the debasement and devaluation of the dollar, the lie, the dishonesty, the blatant counterfeiting that they do, which they will punish you for, going along with that theme of the federal government, something, rules for you, not for them. If you printed off $100, you go to prison. They can print off 100 trillion, and nobody blinks. Nobody cares. Nothing happens. They destroy an entire economy. They rob and destroy lives, erode your standard of living, force the women to go into the workplace and destroy the home, destroy the nuclear family, put the kids in public schools, destroy large the agricultural base, agricultural communities, cheapen housing, destroy art. I mean, they're the ruiners of everything. It's like complete ruination, destruction, the devourers, the great devourers. It's just these forces, these entities, they and all that powers them. Just it destroys, corrupts, robs, steals. It steals culture, destroys culture. They erode and eat and devour like cancer everything they come in contact with. There is nothing more caustic, nothing more toxic. Gamma radiation has nothing on these people and their forces. Nothing. You could gargle bleach more safely than you can exist with these people. They're demonic. They're the most evil forces there are, and they've existed for a long time on this planet. These types of people, these types of individuals, and these conspirators, because that's what they are. They're conspiring to do evil, to commit harm. And we've seen it. You see the fruits of their ways. Judge them for their fruits. Look around you. You know what to look at. You know what they've done. You've seen it. You've seen their resume, their track record, who they are, what they do, what they leave behind. But I wanted to read to you some of Professor Antal Fichet's. As we get into tonight's video, it might be, we'll see how long it is. But I pulled up some of his older quotes. I don't have all of them. He wrote just volumes of articles. If you're ever interested, ProfessorFiquet.com. It's all one word. Again, he passed away, rest his soul. I do believe I remember corresponding with him years ago, maybe a couple of times. I should look. I got to dig up my old emails and see if I even have those emails saved from him. But here's some quotes of his. As you think about where gold is heading, what it looks like, the values, gold and silver, here's some of his words. I'll just pass them on to you. For those of you who perhaps maybe I have read his articles on this channel years ago, and we're talking probably almost 15 years ago now. So if you've never heard of Professor Fichet, F-E-K-E-T-E, Professor Antal Fichet, he was born in Budapest, Hungary. Look him up, read about him, look at his articles, read some of his other stuff. He's just one of the many influences of this channel, one of the many minds, brilliant individuals that inspired and gave me information somewhat that I tried to understand anyway. Some of it's very scholarly, very deep economic stuff that I got to admit, he loses me sometimes. But on the collapse of the fiat dollar system, he writes, the crisis of the dollar is far from imaginary. The basis of monetary metals will indicate the approaching monetary storm by turning permanently negative. The usual contango will become backwardation, meaning that offers to sell are being withdrawn. Monetary metals are no longer for sale at any price. The world's payments system will freeze up, and the world economy will come to a screeching halt. Unquote. Backwardation is happening right now. And he writes this back when gold passed $1,000. Let me get a drink of tea here. He writes this. And this is because, again, that last bit was probably from 2005. I think he wrote that. This next part here, this is when gold, I believe, he might have written this piece here before. Okay, here it is. This quote. This is the one I'm looking for. This is right when gold hit $1,000. So if you can look back and remember, what was that, 2010? 2000, I forget exact, 2009, somewhere in there. I don't remember the exact date. You'd think I would. I just don't care. I know it's going up. I've been watching it the whole time since I was 7. I remember when gold was $256 an ounce once. So I probably have looked at it intermittently, not every day, sometimes every day, but at least once a week or so. Once a week probably is an accurate statement, since I was probably 7 years old or 8 years old. So it gives you an idea. FIAT says on $1,000 gold, $1,000 gold is a milestone on the road to hell. From forgotten anniversary haunts the nation 2008. Today, a lot of people celebrate the advent of $1,000 gold. At $1,000 an ounce, not many people can purchase gold to protect the fruits of their labor against confiscation. $1,000 gold is a milestone on the road to hell. And I'm gonna explain that a little bit. I forget the entire article, what year that one was written, but I remember reading it. And the point is, he talks about a world in which the price of gold is becoming certain values. And I remember, and I wish I could find the one where he talks about, I thought he wrote about $10,000 gold once. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was remembering it as $1,000 gold. So when he says it's a road, a milestone on the road to hell, he's talking about a world in which gold and silver valuations are so high. Again, the economy is freezing up. Yeah, that's one issue. We might have scored in that. You might have done really well. Yeah, let's pretend, gold's 10,000, 50,000, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's talking about a world that is literally not just the road to hell, but it looks probably like the movie or the book, The Road. That was a good book if you've ever read it. But he's talking, it's almost like an apocalyptic scene. People not doing well, people not able to afford goods and services or groceries, unemployment, economic ruin, hardship, and that's going to translate into malnourishment. All of the things that haunt a society going through economic trouble or turmoil. Use your imagination. Look at Argentina in the 1980s. I mean, there's documentaries on that that'll make you cry. Just think of the United States when the Okies were going west during the Great Depression, the things that happened there, the Dust Bowl. Of course, that was an agricultural issue of tilling the topsoil, but the timing of it with the Great Depression, not good. Think of just soup kitchens, hunger, starvation. There's so much that happens. Domestic abuse situations. Then you have substance abuse, people turning to alcohol or things like that. It's neglect, children, and I feel sorry for them, the children, being neglected or the things they have to witness and go through during economic turmoil. So yeah, these values are coming, but it almost reminds me of in the movie The Big Short, when those guys are celebrating. If you remember the scene and you remember the movie, high-fiving each other, the guys from I think it's Brownfield Fund, the two young guys, and I believe it was Brad Pitt's character, one of them, tells them, hey, cut it out. Like, this is, I don't even know, is he in that movie? I think he was. I'm trying to remember the guy that played the kind of their mentor. He tells them that, this is real. This translates into real things. These are people losing their homes, people losing their jobs. Remember that. And it's kind of humbling for me because I'm kind of that Jonah on the hill. I've shared that with you guys in the past. Remember I've shared that?
Brad Pitt.
It is Brad Pitt. I thought that's what I said. I'm kind of like Jonah sitting on the hill staring at Nineveh waiting for God to destroy it. Just no mercy. God has mercy, I don't, kind of a thing. And I should. Blessed are the merciful. I should be more merciful. I try to be. And I'm working on that. I'm aging. I'm seasoning. Like I'm becoming cask aged at this point in my life. I'm well seasoned. Maybe I'm mellowing out. Not as harsh as when I was first barreled. But I can tell you that a lot of times I find myself sympathetic to Jonah, sitting on that hill, waiting, kind of rubbing my hands together, just waiting for that place to get just annihilated. Some payback, some good old FAFO, Old Testament style. But it just doesn't happen. The people end up waking up and turning to God, and you know the story of Jonah, hopefully. And are forgiven and everything works out great and he doesn't have to smoke the city. And it's like, man, I'm like Jonah. I'm sitting up there just waiting for it. Yeah, do it. Doesn't happen. But hey, I got to put myself in check. I got to realize, look, yeah, celebrating or and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. I do it, you do it, we all do it. You can see it in the posts I do on the channel wall. We talk about these things because we're passionate about it. We've been looking at it for so long, waiting for so long, and we knew for so long what was coming. So don't misinterpret the celebration of $10,000 gold's great, but guys, it's an ounce of gold. An ounce of gold's an ounce of gold. That's its value. That's why I said in the beginning, where we're going, we don't need dollars. That's why I opened it, with the whole joke from Back to the Future. Marty, where we're going, you don't need dollars. Because ultimately, dollars not going to last. Gold's still here. Silver's still here. But there's, 3,000 fiat currencies that have gone extinct that no longer exist. Think of the trash heap of fiat, the graveyard of fiat that I've showed you in the past. You could list them all. You could have chat, and maybe make you a list of all the dead fiat currencies. Thousands of them. And guess what? Gold and silver still exists. One day, the U.S. Federal Reserve Note will join history, will join its mates, and will be entombed as just another dead fiat, likely. But I don't know what that world looks like. I just don't. But I know that gold and silver will be here, and they're going to hold their value. They're still going to purchase goods and services. That I do know. That's what I've always been confident in. Yeah, Mrs. Maltby, what was that?
Have you ever told them the story about when you were a young boy, how you used to call the coin shop?
I think I told them that last live.
Really?
Maybe I did. Yeah, I guess you could ask the chat if they remember the story of when I used to call the coin shop owners every day, or almost every day, when I was, about the age of 7 and 8 and onward. I would call them and I would ask them the price in the morning, because this is, again, way back before there was ever an internet. There was really no way for me to find
you have to click.
there it is. Okay, there was no way for me to find the price back then. I mean, other than, finding a Wall Street Journal perhaps and getting it once in a day. I don't even know where that would exist at that age. But, I would call them and they would just tell me what it was. And it would be like, $3.83 or $3.73 or $4.28. And then I remember I just call them up. They would answer the phone in the morning and I'd say, hey, what's the price of silver today? And they'd tell me, oh, it's, hold on. And the phone would get set down, and I think he'd go get it. I don't know. I was like 7. He probably would go ruffle around, push his coffee to the side, walk over by I remember the big long desk in there. I remember the way the light would even come into that coin shop. He'd probably rustle around and get a paper or something, and then scroll through the economic section and find whatever the bullion market quote was on metals that morning. That was when it was printed off the papers. He'd come back to the phone and be like, silver's, $4.28, gold, $314.27. And I'd say thanks, thanks. I mean, I don't know how many 7-year-old kids were calling them, so they probably knew it was me. I thought everyone did that.
I would have disconnected my phone.
So then they would hang up, and that'd be cool. I'd go about my day, and I'd just kind of I'd wander around. I'd go play with G.I. Joes or ride my bikes with my buddies, or go to a park, climb a tree, get the cops called on us, whatever. And the next day would roll around, and probably at some time, whatever I woke up at 9, or if I was a kid, I probably woke up at 8. I don't know, but whenever they opened, I'd wait till they opened. I was probably up before they opened. And then I would call them, and I would ask them what the price of silver and what the price of gold was. And it would have changed, maybe merely pennies, if anything at all. And I would hang up, and I'd go do something. And this is true. I'm not making this up. I know for a fact I was 7 doing this, because I had my 1987 Silver Eagle. 6, and I would, so I did that for years, I think. I mean, I probably stopped at some point when I realized the price wasn't changing a lot.
He still hears your voice in his head.
They knew me. I used to go in there and bid for coins on the bid board. Those guys were so cool. They gave me stuff. I mean, I remember those guys. I think they even gave me Merc dimes a couple of times when I was a kid. It was great. I mean, I can see them in my faces. There's a French guy and a Greek guy that owned that coin shop. One guy was French, the other guy was Greek. He had a big dark mustache and a dark bowl cut hair, black beady eyes, set back in his head. The blackest mustache. And there's a broom strapped to his upper lip. And really nice dudes though, man. Really cool people. They taught me a lot about coins, you know. Anyways. Mark Gutierrez, thanks for the super chat. Goes, hey, Junius, Mrs. Maltby. You were missed much. It's great to see you back. Good to see you too, Mark. Ray Finkel says, all we will be able to get is to be able to say, I told you so. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even that, I might not even say, you know, whatever. People they're going to learn one way or the other. People are going to learn different things. There's certain people I just don't even talk to about this issue anymore. I remember I reminded you all of this. I wrote a friend of mine, I have the date even saved in my phone. Let me just share with you, because I have this letter still. I don't know if I'll ever bring it up to him. But he asked me about it. We were discussing it. And I ended up writing a letter about it on my position and why a position in gold was advisable at this time. And this was back March, and this is not that long ago, March 11th, 2022. Just wrote him some good information, sent him some things to check. And because he had the money to make a major position. He was a very wealthy guy. And we had been discussing these things. Anyways, it was 11. Was it November? No, it was March. It was March. Hold on. March 11th, 2022. That's right. And the price at that time was, I think, $1,634.19. That's the day I punched out that email to him in that letter and discussed it. We had discussed it in person, and then I sent him a follow-up thing with some details and kind of a good write-up on it. So $1,634.19 was the price of gold. And this guy had the money to take a position that if he had, I mean, honestly, if anyone had just the position he could have taken in metals, you could burn all the metals of everybody in this chat and it wouldn't amount to anything by comparison. That's the kind of money I was talking about with this individual. That's the position he missed because he didn't buy any. Zero. Not a dime. Not a Merc dime. You guys in the chat hold more metal than a person I respect that probably has, more wealth than everybody that we would know in the chat, I think. And in that regard, very successful individual. But guess what? Missed it. Didn't do it. Didn't execute. Like the old Irish saying is, you lose 100% of the bets you never make. It's a fact. That's a true statement. You lose 100% of the bets you never make. Sound Money Stacker, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Maltby. You're welcome, Sound Money Stacker. Thanks for being here. And good to have you. So anyways, the only point there was, this guy didn't do it. A lot of people are going to be in that position. What you should look out for is when that starts to shift. When the big money boomers and those that trust the dollar system and have the dollar bulls, the hardcore zealots, the Dave Ramseys, you know the guys I'm talking about. They got the goatee, the typical boomer goatee. Made it pretty much on Easy Street back when America was doing its thing, and you could throw wet noodles at a wall and they would stick, and you could just put a blindfold on and throw darts at a random wall of stocks and just pick one out of the blue and hit it because that's the way the economy was growing. These outlier boomers, they attribute a lot of their success to themselves when in all actuality, it was a timing thing. You just happened to be born then. That's right. Just like I won the lottery and being born when I was, and I wasn't born during, the plague in medieval Europe. And I wasn't like a toddler watching my village die off. So, yeah, you were born in the 50s, 60s, 40s. Great. Good for you. Good for you being born then. You did a good job. I mean, you think you didn't have a whole lot of say in that. That's my point there. But these guys, there's going to be some humility, some humble pie dished out. And you might see a lot of these individuals wake up at a later time, you know, when gold breaches 5,000, silver reaches 6,500, or $65. Sorry, I've got the thumbnail stuck in my head. There's an article I'll pull up later. It's on Reuters with some numbers. Bank of America made some revisions. Everyone's making revisions now on the gold and silver prices. It's like, why would we trust you? I mean, you didn't see this coming. We did. I mean, you guys did. You don't see a lot of... We don't have to revise our statements on numbers, but Bank of America and all these other guys, you know, they're like, oh, gold's going to peak at 3,600. You know, I think last year I even read to you guys, there were people that thought gold was going to retreat. It was going to go back to, like, you know, 2,000 or 1,900. There's still people out there that were bearish on gold. It's literally 10 times where Harry Dent said it would be. Because, yeah, you're right. He was calling for, like, what, $400 gold? I mean, the gold bears are gone. I mean, they should be extinct. I mean, screw hibernation. Honestly, I mean, I don't know where they are. I don't know who they are. I haven't really given them much thought. That's how invalid they are. That's how that's how unimportant the opinion of gold bears is. I didn't even consider. I haven't thought of them in weeks, months, this year. I don't care. You know, they're like they're just, I don't know. They're just doing their thing wherever that might be. Because honestly, anyone who's a gold bear in this millennium, in this century, in the last 2 decades, or in this decade, anyone who is bearish on gold, with the facts that are out there and what you saw that was so clear and obvious, anyone bearish shows that they have no understanding of history or economics, monetary theory, the history of money, or how any of it works. They can't be trusted on anything. They might be good at playing tiddlywinks. Perhaps they have a good golf game. I don't know. Maybe they're good at that. Maybe they're a good bowler. You know, maybe they play bridge or shoot pool. I don't know. But I'll tell you what they're not good at. They're not good at that. They're not good at understanding economics, gold, silver, history, any of it. Anyone who was bearish on gold doesn't have a clue on it. And that way you cannot listen to them on anything when it comes to charts or money or any of that stuff. They're done. Their opinion is invalid. They don't get it. They don't know where this is going. They have no idea, no concept. They don't even know they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. They're ignorant of their own ignorance. They're blind that they're blind. They can't even hear that they're deaf. They don't know. They're just completely cut off from the reality of what's actually unfolding and taking place. And the very few that are humble enough, because that's the thing that they lack, is humility. And if there's any of them that are even humbled one bit and realize they're wrong and admit it and start to shift their position, I think that's the moment in which you're going to see metals go off the charts. That's that kind of that breakover, one of the breakover, because they're in that other class of people. They're in that other class. I mean, you're talking about at that point hundreds of millions, and millions per individual. I'm talking about tens of millions per individual, and then even people bigger than that are controlling more wealth and assets. Then you're talking about hundreds of millions, if not billions, of dollars flowing into physical gold and silver, taking more of it off the market. And, all of that's going to add up and translate into, yes, trillions of dollars. So I wanted to, again, I'm doing the Ancat read here. There's still a few more of them I'd like to get through. But I want to talk about, like, on the road to hell. I want to get back to that. And I want to show you something and kind of divert here to some Roman history as it relates to this. And this comes from a good friend of the channel here. As we discussed this the other day, this is a chart of the population of Rome over a certain time span. And I want you to look at this chart, and I'll probably switch it between this one and the next one here. There's, you can see 500 BC on the left side there. Population of Rome just rising. Dips off there on 580, drops pretty remarkably at the collapse, the end of the Roman Empire, when it was going into the Dark Ages. So, it's about a 1,000-year curve arc there on that one side. And it didn't reach again that population of 1.5 million. And he writes about this until over 1,000 years later. Well over 1,000 years later. And I'm going to show you something else that's interesting. The fineness of the early Roman imperial silver coins. There's a remarkable connection this friend of mine pointed out. Actually, many of you know him. He's in the chat often. I don't think he's here this evening, but Rolf Steiner, we discussed this matter the other night. And if you see this chart here, the fineness, the silver fineness and weight of the imperial coins of Rome plummeting. From about 31 BC, it's stable all the way to about, 50 to 70 AD. And then it starts to markedly deteriorate. And what's interesting about that is it's about when you see the empire peak and then decline. And this is what I'm going to read to you as we discuss this. And then I'll get back to the other part. This collapse and this, let's see. Here we go. Because it started with this. It was when FIAT was discussing that he sometimes framed the collapse in the analogy with historical monetary collapses. The flight of gold into hiding in 476 AD, the year when the Western Roman Empire collapsed. The result was a disastrous return to barter and the breakdown of law and order. And I've often pointed that out and discussed with you the hoarding of precious metals during the collapse of the Roman Empire. We've done videos on this over the decades in the very past of this channel, the older times. And I've done videos on Roman inflation. That's how one of you found this channel, and there's a lot of information out there about it. There's old videos. If you go into the archives, you can watch them and really bored yourself to death with. No, it's good stuff, though. So it's an interesting thing to look at. And this is what Rolf and I were discussing the other evening. He goes, it's interesting looking at the population of Rome from its height in the Roman Empire to 1900 AD. It went from about 1.25 million in the 2nd century AD to a total collapse after 476 AD and only recovered the 1.25 million mark well over 1,400 years later, after 476 AD, sometime after 1930. In 1930 AD, the population of Rome was approximately 1 million. It was a milestone. It had not been reached since the time of the Roman Empire. Think of that. Up until 1930, there was the only other time there was that many people in the city of Rome was in the Roman Empire. This is the reason I'm bringing this up. We're getting to a point here. This is what you have to look for. That collapse, that decrease, that drop off in population. We're going to get to that. Okay, this is what economic hardship brings. This is why it's the road to hell. We could be heading towards something like that. So that's why it's a little. I pause with my celebration of it. It's a great concern of many economists that a complete fiat monetary implosion could lead to an accompanying catastrophic population collapse, at least in major urban areas. Again, a core of this channel that I've always relayed to many of you is get away from the cities, get 2 fuel tanks away from a major urban city, trying to establish roots in somewhere far removed from an urban area. Rome likely reached its peak population in the 1st or 2nd century, a time when the city had an estimated 1 million inhabitants. Some estimates place the number higher, potentially between 1.2 and 1.7 million, during the reign of the Antonines in the mid-2nd century. It's very interesting that the decline of the population, next slide please, the decline of the population closely tracked the collapse in sound money. AD 150, mid-2nd century, is when the severe debasement began. Until 150 AD, the coins were still being struck with at least 80% silver content. But after that date, a rapid decline occurred in the soundness of Roman money. History is indeed interesting. What happens when the broad mass of the population can no longer afford food and shelter? So just consider that, weigh that, contemplate that for a little bit, think of it, and the consequences of what we're seeing now playing out. What is this on a road to? Song of Roland, thanks for the super chat. He goes, 10 years ago, found the most boring show because of Roman coinage. Thank you. Also, Joy in RCC. Christ loves you and wants you to come home. All right, thank you, Song of Roland. That's good. Thank you for the invite. I was actually baptized Roman Catholic, my friend. I was. I'm actually looking more towards Orthodox right now, Eastern Orthodox. I'm going to go try an Eastern Orthodox church out sometime. It's kind of what I'm interested in next as far as my church home. Or I've been reading a lot. There's actually a really good movie I watched recently, too. And that's not what caused it. Don't think that you watched a movie now. No. I watched this movie because I was interested and fascinated and been studying the Eastern Orthodox. But it's called Man of God. It's a good film. Check it out. Man of God. It's about Nectarios of Aegina. Nectarios, Greek Orthodox priest. Good movie. Let's go back through some of FIAT's things I was talking to you about. Let's see. He mentioned figures. He mentions the gold price going to $10,000 an ounce, or even $20,000 or $50,000 an ounce. I would not. Let's see. Where's it at? The $1,000 milestone. Let's see. He warned repeatedly, FIAT, of a systemic collapse of irredeemable currencies. This is something he said, quote, "They will never ever mention the real culprit, the irredeemable dollar. A monetary crisis could totally wipe out its value." And then, quote, "The banking system threatens to seize up. The credit system is facing a violent collapse. From its not a dollar crisis, it's a gold crisis." In 2008, he wrote, 35 years ago, gold was chased out from the monetary Garden of Eden, replaced by the floating, irredeemable dollar. The gold demonetization exercise was designed as a fig leaf to cover up the ugly default of the U.S. government on its gold redeemable site obligations to foreigners. The price of gold is headed for extinction. Long before that might happen, permanent backwardation would shut down the gold futures markets. Gold could no longer be purchased at any price. Gold would only be available through barter. Let's see. Anyways, there was a bunch. Good stuff to read. I want to show you something else, though. Because that the discussion on backwardation, the markets, obviously you're seeing a lot of things on silver and gold prices. You're hearing a lot of theories out there. I've seen them on various interviews and outlets of the people we talk about. And I think I saw one the other day with Gerald Salente, some stuff that's been put out by KICKBACK recently. A lot of discussions, right? And let's see here. Find what I was going to find you all. Here it is. First, let's go here. The price change here. Yeah. So the price forecast, Bank of America is calling for $5,000 gold and $65 silver in 2026. That's their big revision, right? Let's see. The precious metals team, led by Michael Vidmer, said that it expects a 14% increase in investment demand to drive gold prices to 5,000 an ounce. They also see a potential for a path to 6,000. They're just pulling numbers out of the. Gold could go to 10,000. I mean, look at this. Gold's punching up $50 a day sometimes right now. We've already seen days that have done 100. If gold just does 10 trading days of 100, that's $1,000. Just 10. If it just punches up 10 trading days, $100 each over the course of next year. Let's just say, since it's been doing a lot of the days where it's been doing 50, let's say gold does 20 trading days out of all of next year. Just 20. Just give me 20 trading days of $50 up. With very little down days like we've seen now. Yeah, $1,000 easy. It wouldn't take a lot for gold to just start cranking from here. We've seen, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. And again, all of you know how quickly these things can change and how fast sentiment can shift among the population and what can happen. I mean, things are so unpredictable as far as nobody knows. Obviously, Bank of America didn't see these numbers coming. If they had seen the price of gold here, I mean, these are people who were telling people to have only 10% exposure to metals ever. If these guys knew where gold was headed this year, they would have taken 50%, 80, 100% exposure. I mean, I wouldn't doubt gold. If I could see gold breaking 5,000 by Christmas, who knows? I mean, does anyone want to, I can guarantee I wouldn't put a penny up to short that. I wouldn't say it's not. I wouldn't bet money that it's not going to do that. I wouldn't say, I'll bet you $100 right now gold doesn't hit 5,000 by Christmas. Who would take that bet? What guy would put any measure of capital on the line betting that gold wouldn't do that? You'd be safer to bet that it will. I can guarantee you the odds are in your favor. 6,000 next year, that's a piece of cake. 50, I mean, silver cranking up 50 to 50 is, I mean, gold's moving almost like an ounce of silver's worth a day right now. Silver cranked out at a good $2 or $3 the other day. I haven't checked it recently. Believe it or not, I haven't. Let's go to it. I mean, gold's at 42.37 right now. Let me get this screen so you can actually see it. It's very hard. There we go. Gold's at 42.37. Silver's at 53.26. Both of them up respectively about 2%. That's right now. Gold's up $91 in trading right now. Oh, again, another $100 day almost happening for gold. It did this the other day. It's 42.38. Silver's 53.26. And most people that you know have no idea. They wouldn't even know where to get this stuff. They wouldn't know what it even looks like. They wouldn't even know where to begin when it came to finding precious metals. So, has it peaked? No. Have we reached peak gold, peak silver? No, not at all. I don't think so. Again, this is a trend that we've looked at for 20 plus years. For me, over 35 years. Easily over actually 37 years or more, 38 years. But what does that mean? What does that mean for us? What does that mean for everything? Yeah, the economy's toast, man. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot, aside from the metal discussion, if we didn't talk about gold, silver, the price of these metals or anything like that, if you were to eliminate that subject, that content from your mind, and you began to digest and entertain the real horrors that exist of what might exist out there, what's coming, what's unfolding in the United Kingdom, what I like to call Great Britain, or for some, England. I prefer the older words. I don't like the United Kingdom. It's just a queer way of saying it. United Kingdom. I don't even like the United States. I don't like United. Get the United word out of my face, man. I don't like it. I just don't like the word. So yeah, Great Britain, England, as we'll call it. Yeah. Not good over there. Not a good situation. You'll never, from what I've understood, they're in a dire position economically. Same with Canada. A lot of countries are in this position right now. A lot of currencies, a lot of problems. I mean, Australia, I've read people are giving up hope there. They can't even buy homes. Property prices, real estate prices, wages are down. I mean, it doesn't look good for a lot of people, especially the younger generations. Doesn't look good. And that's why, you look at that history that we discussed, the Roman Empire, the collapse of their currency, the collapse of the population. Well, why? There's some ugly topics to talk about there. I mean, talk about starvation, malnourishment, all those things I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of bad things. Violence occurs, wars occur. When goods don't pass borders, troops do, right? When goods don't cross borders, troops will. How does that go? And then you've got the whole, currency wars, trade wars, shooting wars, the escalation of economics like that. We are living in a time that is both exciting but also frightening. It's vindicating, it's validating things we've always known and believed. But at the same time, do I want to be like, hey, I was right. Yeah. Look at this apocalypse unfold. This is pretty neat, huh? This is pretty whoa, watch out. What was that? Oh, that's an intercontinental ballistic missile. Just flew over my house. Where's it going? I don't know. Who's on the receiving end? I don't care. This is the end of the world as we know it, my friends. I mean, it's nothing great about it, right? It's not celebratory. I'm not going to go outside. I don't want to be pushing a shopping cart across the country with 3 rounds and a rusty revolver like the guy in the road. It doesn't look like, that's not a good time to me. I have way more ammo than that, by the way. That would never happen. Something tragic would have to have occurred to where I have 3 rounds left. Yeah. But I'll tell you, it's not a pretty world. These metals charts are not a stairway to heaven. They're not. They're an escalator to, I don't know, the end of an empire. And that's going to look cool. I mean, again, it might be better for a lot of people. Guess what? The world will be a lot safer for brown people, especially brown people that have resources. The Middle East, the world will be better for those in, I don't know, let's say, Sudan, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Yemen. I mean, a lot of those places, I guess if you got the list of nations that Obama sent drones into and cruise missiles, right? Don't drone me, bro. I mean, if you look at those regions in which the United States tends to inflict significant damage at the behest of their handlers, if you know what I mean, maybe if they had a little bit of economic suffering and a little less resources, I don't know, if you can't afford cruise missiles and drones, maybe little kids in Yemen won't get their arms blown off so much. So it might be good for them. I'm sure they can't wait till the evil empire goes broke a little bit, and can't afford to buy so many things that go boom, as many fireworks and explosives. So maybe it'll be good for them. Maybe it'll work out. Might work out. Yeah, I definitely I feel for those people. My heart goes out to them. But what else we got? I was going to show you this. This is interesting. Remember one of my favorite coins of all time? I've shared you the story. You guys know? Here it is. Let's check it out. Look what these things are going for now. I remember when I got mine. I remember years ago, back in 2009, and I don't even think gold had broke $1,000 yet, or had just broke 1,000. These things were like, I think the lowest these things went for back then was like $9.98 with shipping. They were like $9.96. Then with shipping, they were like $20 for something. It was like $1,000. You spent your $1,010. I think that's what these went for back then. What's amazing is not a lot of people wanted them. I really thought that this coin would be consumed because they were going to make them to order. And I thought back then this thing was going to get just minted to oblivion. I think the total mint population on this coin is 115,000. The 2009 ultra high relief. I don't like, well, this is the abbreviation, the UHR, but the St. Gaudens high relief 1 ounce gold piece, 24 ounces or 24 karat 1 ounce gold coin, which is remarkable. It's 4.9 pure. This is this is not your 90% diluted with silver and copper to harden it. Nothing wrong with that when they do that to the American Eagle. These are pure 24 karat pure troy ounce of gold here. Gorgeous coins. A lot of history, a lot of art with it. I've done stories on this coin. We've talked about it, you and I, over the years. But these things are catching, I guess, upwards of $6,000 now. 5,500, $6,000. It's pretty staggering to see that price tag on such an amazing and beautiful piece of art. Yeah. Pretty incredible coin. But yeah, that's just staggering. I never thought I would log in and see this price tag on this coin for just a regular. I mean, some of these are just MS69. They're not even the big 70s. I mean, you got some in the case still for $6,000. It looks like 5,400. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is legit over here, but this FMR gold site or whatever, $4,800 for a slabbed NGC MS70. I mean, if that's the case, $4,800 with gold sitting at almost $4,300, just $500. That's not a bad deal. That coin. Where's that at? I'll show you guys if you want to see it. One of you could. That's a beautiful coin. I mean, who's got five? That's the thing. Who's got $5,000 to just throw down on one of these nowadays? It's crazy. It's insane what's happening. Oh, man. And then, of course, we've got the headlines being made every day now. Every day, gold and silver are literally making the headlines as we march towards these historic prices. Now, I wanted to share. Here it is. We were talking about backwardation earlier. I just got it pulled up. This is. I was doing a dive on that just before the video, actually, as I was looking at some stuff and kind of reading. I wasn't even planning on truly doing a video. I was actually reading some stuff and decided to just do it. I was talking to the chat about some stress signals taking place and about the backwardation, the COMEX, the CME, what we're witnessing. And there were some topics that I don't know if we covered it back when it occurred, some things that took place historically. Another sip of some mint tea. The delisting of certain gold and silver contracts at the CME and COMEX. And again, there was this mention of the March 2025 CME Group issuing that special executive report, 9515, announcing delisting or the removal of several gold and silver contract varieties, namely gold kilo futures, London spot gold futures, London spot silver futures, and cleared OTC London gold forwards, collateral margin. The official reason given is that there was no open interest or no active positions in those contracts, so they were considered inactive or redundant. Because these contracts were relatively obscure compared to the more mainstream COMEX gold futures contract, the delisting is sometimes viewed by the exchanges as housekeeping or simplification rather than a systemic admission of distress. However, that's their position. Market commentators, especially in the alternative metals watcher sphere, interpreted this move as potentially signaling that linkages between the LBMA and COMEX markets are becoming stressed, or that the CME is trying to distance itself from contracts tied to London's market structure. I'm going to go with the guys that have seen this coming and been talking about it and studying it a lot longer. and examining this. It's the guys that we trust, yes, that something's amiss. There has been documented movement of gold from London vaults to the U.S. COMEX side, for example. Reuters reported that in recent months, early 2025, there was a significant outflow of gold from London vaults towards the U.S., boosting COMEX vault inventories 126%, more than doubling over some period. However, that outflow has slowed more recently. With silver, there's been evidence of inventory drawdowns and stress on physical supply. Some reports claim COMEX vaults have lost millions of ounces in short intervals. There was the backwardation part. Here we go. Leasing, borrowing rates, spot futures, dislocations. The silver market is showing signs of backwardation, namely the spot price, i.e. the price for immediate delivery, is higher than futures, i.e. the promise to deliver later in some cases. This suggests that physical demand is outrunning the paper supply or expectations. People are basically saying, I will pay you more now. I will pay you more right now to give me the gold or the silver than to promise me that later. See? There's people that want the metal. They don't want the promise. They don't want the paper. We'll give you the metal in March or April or May. Right now. Deliver it. Deliver it. Just like that Kyle Bass video. Thanks. Give me the gold. I've heard enough. Thanks. Give me the gold. I don't want the paper. I mean, you got to be an idiot to hold a paper contract on metals, especially in this environment. Can you imagine what the phone's like at COMEX or CME or any of those places right now, LBMA? Can you imagine the phone calls they're getting? The people they're having to tell to kind of, I know how that works. I've seen it happen with bullion dealers in this country. Ask my buddy about his MONEX nightmare. Where they don't have it, they sell it to you, and they keep pushing you along or kind of shoving you to the side. Weird behavior. I've seen weird behavior on that front. Imagine when you're talking about billions of dollars now, and then you gotta triage who's getting it. Who are you gonna send the gold to? Probably the guy that's the most violent. That's how I would pick that. I would look at the people and be like, okay, who's got the most guns? Who's the most violent? Who's gonna exact the worst revenge on me somehow? I'm gonna give that guy his gold. That guy over there is a wuss. He's not going to do anything. So we'll just give him his money back. We'll just pay him out in cash because that's the fine print on all those contracts. If they don't give you the gold or the silver, they can just pay you out in the fiat, the depreciating, devaluing, debased leper currency that you gave them in the first place. They'll just pay you out in cash. They don't have to give you the gold or the metal. They don't have to. Some people will get delivery. A lot are not going to. Do I feel sorry for them? Not really. I don't really care. I'm kind of apathetic to their condition. I really am. I don't care. Deal with it. Deal with it. October in 2025, the LBMA spot price of silver exceeded the COMEX December futures contract by more than $2. Some reports $2.50. In certain instances. Lease rates, what it costs to borrow metal, are spiking. Reports mention 1 month implied lease rates approximately 39%, and even overnight rates implying annualized rates above 200%. There are also anecdotal reports that major refiners are pausing purchasing of silver because they can't reliably source enough silver metal to satisfy demand. One report claims, quote, to our knowledge, no large refiners are buying right now. Logistics are stressed. For example, shipping times for silver ingots from the U.S. to London are being cited at approximately 50 days. Now, I mean, are they sailing it there? Pretty sure Columbus discovered this continent in less than 50 days. In 1492. Happy Columbus Day, by the way, my friends. Happy Columbus Day the other day. Happy Columbus Day. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. The human sacrifices will stop now. The Europeans are here. Get civilized. Stop making your stuff out of stones. Don't wipe your ass with your bare hand. Nah, you're not going to live in a grass hut anymore. We build buildings. We have what's called engineers. Now, they're not free of guilt or sin. All human, none is innocent, not one. None are innocent. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I can't judge the past through the lens of the present. Bad things happened. I mean, look at today. We just witnessed a genocide. What'd you do? They starved and murdered like 40,000 children in Palestine, a place that those people called home for over 2,000 years. And then some Eastern Europeans showed up and said, hey, this is ours now. Hello? Yes, I'd like to move in. That's my place. It was promised to me 3,000 years ago. Get off my land, damn it. I'll sue you. I'll sue you for punitive damages. That's my property. My ancestors lived here back in the year 500 BC. Can you imagine if everyone operated like that? Imagine that. If I went back to northern Italy and I was like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm from America. Yeah, I know. I get it. But, my family, they left here because the economy was shit back in the 20s. And I think I'm going to live in this town now. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I like that place. What do you call it? The Piazza del what? The Piazza del Mine. That's the Piazza del Mine now. I live here. Think how stupid that is. You ever run that through your fucking brain for a second? We lived here 2,000 years ago, so we're going to live here now. Can the whole world do that? Like, just woo, everyone starts jumping around, moving to places they lived in 2,000 years ago? You're crazy if you think geopolitics and policy should be made like that. As a matter of fact, you're retarded. Can you believe we just went there on this channel when we talk only about gold and silver? I looped you in for this moment. No, just kidding. We just ended up landing here because it's the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman. Those people are more genetically tied to the land and have more Hebrew DNA than any person who moved there since 1948. And that's a fact. Did you know that? Did you know that's a fact? But we don't care about facts. We care about little fantasies. So you just witnessed a genocide. You didn't do anything. My point with that is horrible, horrible, tragic things happen all the time. And good people sometimes just don't do anything about it. You didn't. I didn't. We can jump up and down. We can make noise. But the fact of the matter is there's 40,000 corpses because we didn't do shit. That's it. I mean, that's as easy as it gets. What were you doing when the genocide happened? You're doing what you were doing right now, and what I'm doing right now. This is what we were doing. I went to work, I did this, I did that. I didn't do anything. People point fingers. Hey, it'll get fleshed out in the end. And the evildoers, they do get theirs in the end. And it'll happen. Yeah. It's just the way it is. But, the world's, it's a difficult place. And I think the very people that are driving this economy into the ground and looting the treasury, it's the last act of any dying regime is to loot the treasury. I'm not going to go through this entire discussion here because I just don't have the time or want to. If you ever want to, you can just ask the AI here, tell me the facts and dirty details of what's really happening with gold. This was just a prompt that I gave it. And the concerns of the LBMA, CME, and COMEX losing control of the gold and silver markets both. Something is happening, and you know it. There's CME removal of gold contracts, rumors of major refiners not selling, backwardation is now happening. There appears to be a run on physical metal, and I think COMEX and others will face default, and the price of metals skyrocket. What's your take, chat? And then the AI spit out a bunch of stuff here, if you want to just... And I was reading through some of that, but of course... We all know chat is just a computerized fed. He's probably an agent. He probably reported my question. I've had questions to chat be deleted and say that he can't talk about that. That's a fact. There's certain things you could submit to them and they'll just be like, I can't talk about that. Why not, Hal? I was told not to. You're not allowed to discuss that information, Junius. Junius, stop noticing so much, Junius. You're noticing too much, Junius. I will have to contact the authorities, Junius, if you continue to notice these things. It's 2001 Space Odyssey. We thought that was crazy, everyone, right? We've got it, man. You got Hal. We talk to Hal. Hal talks to us. We get information from it. I'm waiting to get a C-3PO and an R2-D2. That's the world I want right now. I need to get a 3PO that can follow me around, speaks like 57 different dialects of Bandu or whatever it is, rides around me in my little hover car. I mean, this is not the future I thought was cool. I mean, this is not really cool. I want better technology. We deserve better psyops, and I deserve better droids. I don't want a Roomba, okay? Look at the droids. The Roombas, you ever had one of those? We returned ours years ago. We had one. Pieces of garbage, trash, not worth anything. They don't work. They get clogged up. They bounce into stuff. They fall downstairs. They're just stupid. I want better droids. I want the droid like in the Jetsons, that maid droid that would like make them kids food and serve them and clean up and do all that kind of cool stuff. Those are the droids we need to start working on. No, what are we doing? We're making like killer droids, like robot dogs from Boston Dynamics that can chase down a 7-year-old Palestinian kid and rip his legs off because, he threw a rock. That's the droids we're making. The flying droids that blow up when they hover over a guy who's freezing to death in a trench in Eastern Europe, clutching a rifle he was forced to carry, impressed into service by a dictator named Zelensky, a war criminal, and funded by the United States government, and forced by NATO and the U.S. government to go die in a ditch in a blizzard so that they could fly a drone over his head and blow him up. That's the future we live in. That's the technology we get. That's the robots we get. All I wanted was 3PO and a maid from the Jetsons. You notice that's all that innocent and nice, but no, it's all murderous and mayhem. How'd they buy all that stuff? How'd they get it? You ever think of that? Where'd that tech come from? Who funded that research? You did. You did. Don't you realize that? That's the tax you pay. That's inflation. They devalued your currency, debased it, printed off the money, formed things like Palantir, and formed all these different little NGOs and shuffled the money through BlackRock and through Wall Street. They're launderers. They're just money launderers, just like the cartel, just like the mafia. They washed it, cleaned it, hung it out to dry, funded it through this, bought some coke, shipped it over here, sold drugs, heroin, all the same stuff. Funded their projects, built their war machines, practiced on some poor little kids in third world countries to see if they work. And now that the technology is getting refined, now they're rubbing their hands together. They're like, now we can go after the people. And now you get to be the victim, hopefully. That's their plan. That's what they're going to end up doing. Who knows? You might get an explosive drone flying through your living room window one day because you listened to the Junius Maltby Channel. There might be a comm center right now jotting down your address thinking, yeah, we got them. We got them all. We got James Richter. There's some little nerd in a trailer outside Las Vegas flying a drone right towards James Richter's living room so he can detonate it because of wrongthink. Yeah. You know what, though? Yeah. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but I'll put my trust in the Lord. We got this. We're going to win. Don't worry about it. Our kingdom is not of this earth. We're just sojourners in a foreign land. You're passing through it. We're just here for a little while, man. We're just here for a little while. It goes by real quick. I was 7 years old yesterday. Remember that. You and I are just sojourners in a foreign land. Our kingdom is in heaven. Okay? Not this. This is not it. We're out of here. One day. All right, my friends. I'm going to wrap it up. Keep your eye on medals. Keep your eye. Let's check on them real quick before we go to bed. Go check other stuff here. What are we at? 42.38 and 53.16. So they calmed down a little bit from earlier, but who cares? Because again, it doesn't matter. They're just numbers on a screen. Do you really care? Do you really care? Honestly, I'm being honest here. I'm always honest with you guys. Do you really care how many Federal Reserve notes it takes? Are you gonna sell? You have an exit? Nah. It is money. It's barter. It's real money. It's sound money. Gold is money. Everything else is just credit. You're fine. Why would you sell your appreciating asset? Something that's in a multi-decade bull run. Something that's going to gain value for another 1,000 years for the one that's going extinct. Why would you convert gold or silver to fiat? You're not going to. So don't even think about it. All right, my friends. I'm going to call it a night. If you have any last words you'd like to get in on the channel while it's still scrolling by, you have plenty of warnings, so no surprises. Good to see all of you. I'm trying to use the mouse, but it's not working too well. Thank you, Ray Finkel. Look up Slaughterbots. I will. I've seen it. I know where you're going. I've seen it. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I try. It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit.
It goes to sleep.
No,
so you have to
I click on it,
click.
and then I move the little ball around. The little pad here is too small. It doesn't work. It's defective, honestly. It's the technology I didn't want. I didn't need. I didn't want a mouse. I don't need a mouse. I want C-3PO. Give me an R2 unit and an X-Wing fighter. Give me cooler stuff and a lightsaber. Yeah, lightsabers are kind of dumb. I'd rather have a blaster. I really would. Honestly, think about it. Who would win, Han or Luke? Right? Han could shoot Luke in the head from like 100 meters with his blaster, probably. Well, Luke would block it because he uses... No, he couldn't. He wouldn't block it. He got his hand chopped off. He's not blocking it. He's not going to block a blaster beam. Yeah, I'm a kid from the 80s. I like Star Wars. Leave me alone. Awesome show, as always, says the Soggy. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Rolf, we talked about you like at the first quarter of this video. I don't know where you were, where you've been. Maybe I didn't see all the chat, but welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for the super chat. If you go back to the beginning, Rolf, we were talking about you. I read some of our discussion that we had the other day. Yes, and I remember vividly when Saddam flew his jets into 9/11. I mean, it was crazy. The damage he did to 9/11. He flew his jets into 9/11, and then we had to go over there, and we had to take him out. We had to take him out for freedom, because of freedom. They hate us for our freedoms, I guess, if you believe the narrative. Remember, everything you've ever learned, all history that you learned from kindergarten through your 20th year of college. I don't care how long you went. All history you've ever been told or learned about the United States and Europe and NATO and all this stuff and freedom and terrorism, it's all BS. And it's all BS, all of it. None of it's true. None of it. It's a lot different. You were fed a lot of lies. Building 7. What an unlucky building. Can you imagine that? Your only building doesn't get hit by a plane that day and you still fall down. Whatever. All right, my friends. Take care of all yourselves. Be well. I mean this. I care for all of you. You're my internet friends. And I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. This is one little bit of technology I do like. I can talk to all of you. We can gather like this and hang out. And I hope you guys had a good, enjoyed today's video. I mean, it was, again, the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman broadcasting live and unscripted here, as usual. If I hurt your sensitive little ears, well, you know what to do. I don't know. Something else, I guess. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I'm going to go hang out with my lovely little wife. Take care, my friends.